Welcome back, Book Dragons. We are here with another book challenge episode. We are going to cover my February book challenge for the astrology challenge. Shout out to Cats Creation 614, Cats Book Nerds, and the Reading Scientist. Thank you so much for letting me share this fun and awesome book challenge with everybody. So, without further ado, my February mini challenge that was brought up, 4 prompts. First one, a romance book by a Black, Indigenous, or person of color author. And I love to read all sorts of authors with different colors. And that came out wrong, but I love to read books by BIPOC authors because sometimes it is great to have that insight and to see it from their point of view and to have that kind of experience. And these books are just as good and just as wonderful as all the other books out there. So the book I read for this prompt was Faye Away by Rose Garcia. And I got this book in one of the Stuff Your Kindle books last year. So this was a TBR read that I totally enjoyed. And in case I didn't state it, I am using the book challenges that I do to help read books off of my TBR. And sometimes the minis will also include ARC books that I happen to read that fit the prompt. So, but my main goal is to try and read more from my TBR. So I'm really grateful for this book challenge because I really want to get some of my 611 books off of my TBR and moved from unread to read. So, that one was a TBR book. I enjoyed it. It wasn't bad. I unfortunately don't remember a lot about it, but I know I did enjoy it. If I remember, I think it had something to do with portals and bubbles. And it was lots of fun. And it was like a portal book between like the Fey realm and the real realm. So that sounds right. Yeah. So if you like portal fantasy books and you like the Fey and mixed with urban type or contemporary type book, this one is a good book. The next prompt is a book with a chaotic cover. Now, with fantasy, that kind of comes with the scene. So I had to find one that truly felt chaotic to me. And so I also got this book off of a Stuff Your Kindle event last year, and it is The Rifters by M. Pax. And this was another portal Western fantasy book. And it's essentially about a man who found a way to travel back in time, and he's trying to atone for his sins in his own timeline that he escaped from. And it's not a bad premise. I do like the book. I only rated it as 3 stars because it didn't really catch me because it's the first book in a series and I probably won't read the rest of the series, but I did enjoy it. And this cover was definitely chaotic to me. So next one was a book with a rebellion or featuring a rebellious character. And this one, shout out to Hannah R Lyon, one of the amazing fantasy authors. She just finished her trilogy for the Freedom of Wrathos series. And I had fun rereading books 1 and 2, or I should say re-listening to books 1 and 2. So I put The Rebel in Violet, which is the first book in the trilogy, as the book for this prompt because it is all about a rebellion. It is all about a blood goddess and the things that you got to do to stay in her good graces and how to save Wrathos and the land across the sea that I momentarily am blanking the name on. But the rebellious character's daughter, Devaki, comes over from that land. So it's a really good book. If you don't want to read the physical books, I highly recommend the audiobook because Nick, the narrator, is so dreamy and it makes me melt, and I could just listen to him narrate books all day long. It is that delicious. So ladies, I would definitely check out the audiobook if you want a nice and dreamy narrator. So I actually, even though the third book has come out, I'm actually waiting to get the third book on audio because that's how I started the series, was audiobooks. She gave me an audio arc of the first book, And then I bought the audio of the second book because it was so good. And so I'm just waiting for that third book to come out. It's in the final stages. I'm hoping and praying it comes out soon because I don't know the ending yet and I need to know the ending. So, Hannah, please poke them, pester them. We want the audiobook. The last prompt for the February mini astrology challenge was a book with a 7-word title. It took me 3 days of hunting through my TBR, sitting there counting the words of the title of the book to make sure that not only did it actually feel like that whole thing was the title, but there actually was 7 words. And you have no idea how hard it is to find a 7-word book title. Oh my goodness. My first few attempts from trying to find it, I was either a word over or a word under. It was annoying as all get. And so when I finally found this book, I was like, thank you. Please let this book be good enough for me to finish because I really don't want to DNF it and have to sit here and hunt for another 7-word title book. So, The Buchanan Brothers and the Botanical Bandit by D.W. Dixon. Now, The Buchanan Brothers and the Botanical Bandits by D.W. Dixon. 7 words. I promise. It was an interesting book, and I also got this on a Stuff Your Kindle event. It might have been one of those steampunk Stuff Your Kindle's steampunk sci-fi ones. It was pretty good. It's another one, team of brothers. They run an investigative firm, I believe, and they basically are like Sherlock and Watson, but in a steampunk fantasy style, and I enjoyed it. Because I have so many books, I don't know if I'll get to read the rest of the books in this series, and I don't even know how many books are left of this series. But if I get around to it, I get around to it, and it's definitely one of those books that I'd probably continue just to see what happens. But I did enjoy The Botanical Bandit. It was an interesting one, and definitely not a spin that I was expecting. So now on to the astrology part, or the year-long prompts. So for Aries, the prompt I finished was a book with an arrogant character. And this just works so perfect for me loving dragon books because arrogant dragons are anywhere and everywhere. So I read Dragon at Land's End by Maria Grace, and she has since come out with another book after that. It just came in yesterday. I'm so excited to read Dancing with Dragons. But Dragon at Land's End is actually dealing with the dragon who is basically the crowned prince's dragon in England, and he's Cornwall. And he turns out to be this arrogant, really in your face, it's my way or the highway type of dragon. So he that was a fun book to read. And interesting because I wasn't sure how she was gonna get things solved and taken care of. So I did like that book. Next is Gemini, a book with a dual point of view. And that one is going to be Arrows and Gems by Erin Halbmaier. And if you watched my April reads, you saw that our book club was Slippers and Thorns by Erin Halbmaier. Definitely read Arrows and Gems first. Loved it. Absolutely amazing. Robin Hood retelling. She does an excellent job, and I can't praise it enough. I would read it again. I love that one. For Leo, a book with a lot of hype. And at the time this book came out, it was a lot of hype. I was seeing it everywhere on Instagram, and I've got the audiobook from NetGalley, and I was glad I did. So I got to actually see what the book was kind of about. And so it is The Sirens by Emilia Hart, and it definitely has that point of view from 2 different timelines and 2 different like 2 different characters, each from a different timeline sort of thing. And it's interesting how it all worked out towards the end. It was a little predictable, but also not in some aspects of it. Like I picked out what it was going to happen for one thing, but another thing that happened, I was just like, oh, did not see that coming. It was a good book. So if you like to read books with basically to me the book feels like it's representing a lot of women's rights type of thing, and standing up for yourself and knowing um, when to say no and when is enough, and how it's been this kind of theme since way back in time. And it just, so that's why it's got the two different timelines with the two different points of views with the two different characters, and because it's supporting the same thing. The theme of the book is what connects the two timelines and everything together, and it's very interesting. So that book had a lot of hype, and I'm not upset I read it. It was a good book. I don't know if I'll read it again, but it was a good book. I'm glad I read it. For Virgo, a book written with witty banter. Now, if you haven't read Scott Meyer's books, you're totally missing out. So I read Fight and Flight by Scott Meyer, which is his Magic 2.0 series, and it is hilarious. If you need a fun computer type coding fantasy book, this is it. I kid you not. It is it. I'm sorry, Erin and Hall, but Scott Meyer beats you on the banter on this one. It's just hilarious. So, but it's just one of those things. If you haven't read them, you should, because that Magic 2.0 series is hilarious, and I can't wait to finish it. So I think I've got the Vex Generation left to finish that series, but I don't think I own that book yet. So that's why I haven't finished it. So I did a second prompt for Virgo, a book set in a bakery. So, and many of you have already heard me talk about this book. So, Usher Evans, thank you so much for A Pinch of Change, which is the opening novella to Lily's Pawboyd Perfections, which is her S. Usher Evans' second cozy fantasy mystery series. And she has the novella prequel and then books 1, 2, and 3, which book 3 is coming out next month. And she's already got the audio, and it's getting finished on audio, and it's so good. So for book 3 is coming out next month. And she actually just had a very successful Kickstarter campaign for the other spinoff cozy fantasy mystery series, which is for PJ Norris. You meet both Lily and PJ in the Weary Dragon Inn, but you don't have to read the Weary Dragon Inn to understand what happens in Lily's series or PJ's series. And so I'm looking forward to getting the prizes I got from her Kickstarter. That will be so much fun, and I will definitely share that with you guys, because there might actually be a giveaway with that one. And then Sagittarius, a book featuring travel and adventure. So the book I read for this one was The Sorceress in Exile by H Hoskins. And this is book 2 in his Council of Athisia series. And at the time, it was going to be the last book, but I think he's been pestered enough. And I think he also might have gotten a TV show deal. And he's writing another book for it. So I don't know if he's going to continue on with Nalvina, or if he's going to pick different characters and do different things from different points of view. We'll see. I'm excited to see where he takes this series. So, but the Council of Athisia and The Sorceress in Exile, very good. If you haven't read them, I've enjoyed them. The first book is heavy on political intrigue and political inner workings. And the second book is basically Nalvina getting fed up with all this stupid political crap. So, and taking matters into her own hands, which I don't suggest you do. You did not get that idea from me, ever. For Sagittarius, I completed a second prompt. That one is also going to be a book by an author with a different race or religion than you. And for this one, I chose a book with a different race than me because religion-wise, I tend to read books that are from my religion. And this one was Leading in the Lord's Way by Ernst Lee Davis. And this was a very good refresher book, and it took a lot of the principles of our religion and showed you how to apply them correctly to be a good leader and an empathetic and sympathetic leader to help those around you. And he gives great anecdotal stories that show you the qualities that emulate a leader who is leading with God guiding them on how to help these people around them. So I definitely enjoyed that book. You should read it if you'd like if you like a Christian book that helps to bring real life things and help you with real life situations and, better yourself. And you don't have to be of the same religion to read this book. Capricorn is the next astrological sign I have. And that was a book under 200 pages because I frequently read books that are usually about 200 and up. So every now and then I'll read something under that. And it's usually, I'm done with it in a day. So, and this one and Leading in the Lord's Way and this book were also compliments from Cedar Fort Publishing and Media. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to read those arcs. I really enjoyed them. So for a book that's under 200 pages, A Saint's Journey on the Narrow Path by Clark Rich Burbidge. And this one is a great book. It gives you an analogy of a cyclist because he's an avid bicycler or a cyclist. I don't know how you would do that, but he loves to do that. And he goes through how the different things that you have to do to be a good cyclist and how that applies in your life and how different things can come together and how you got to be careful about some things and how you need to know the path and how the path that we're on in life isn't this big wide road. It's often a narrow path that we have to walk a thin line on to be able to get things that we need to done and do things that we need to accomplish and to help move and grow and become a better us. So, Aquarius, a book set in space. Thank you, Mike Mollman. I finally read The Halley Traveler, and that was good. Now, this one is still closed door, but I would say it's definitely flirting with the closed door as far as closed door books go. You definitely know what's happening, even though it doesn't go into details. But I still enjoyed it, and it was an interesting premise, and I'm looking forward to being able to arc read book 2 for this series, which will be coming out later this year. And so I'm thrilled. So congrats, Mike. I'm looking forward to that arc. I also recently got to do a beta read for him, but I can't say too much about that one. But that it's a good bit too. And then Pisces. I don't know what it is, how I finish off with Pisces, but me, Pisces. Ha 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 ha. The prompt I finished for Pisces was a book that has a hybrid genre. And shout out to Toni Cabell again. Lady Apprentice is definitely a hybrid genre. And I probably read more hybrid genres than I realize, but this one was definitely clear-cut hybrid genre because it is a fantasy adventure book, but it's got steampunk elements in it that you don't normally see in fantasy books. So it's definitely a fantasy steampunk hybrid. But yeah, I enjoyed it. So if you like a steampunk fantasy vibe, I would definitely check out Lady Apprentice by Toni Cabell. That one is book 1. I think it's a 4 or 5 book series. I think I read 3 books, the first 3. If not for sure, the first 2. But I enjoyed it. And that wraps up my February astrology mini challenge and my astrology challenge. So thank you again, Cat's Creation 614 and Cat's Book Nerds and The Reading Scientist. If you feel like joining us, please find her on Instagram and she will hook you up and we'll get you going on that. So it's lots of fun. It really is. And if you're ever short on recommendations or is like, hey, I don't know what to do for this book, can I get a recommendation? They often post, she often makes a post where they have a recommendation for those prompts for each month. And then in the chat, there's a lot of people that go, oh, hey, I read this one for that one, or I read this one for that one. Or they'll often share as they update their astrology templates. And then you get to see what books they're reading for those prompts. So you can go, oh, hey, maybe I can do that one. So if you're stumped, it's a great way to go, oh, maybe I can try a different book. So as always, find good books, go on great adventures, and just have fun, my book dragons.